Okay. All right. Hi. Okay. So we're live. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. You hear that? There are actually people here.
This is not just a laugh track.
Yeah. We had to pay extra for the laugh track.
Yeah.
All right. So it is 7:30-ish, and we are actually doing it's called the Noble Razor Cold Steel and Hot Lather. It's the Noble Razor shaving panel here at ConPossible. This is the first year of ConPossible. We are excited to be here. Thank you all for joining. I am Dr. Mike. I am the proprietor of Dr. Mike's Shaving Emporium, and may I introduce my lovely and talented Miss Ksenia Burns, Kay, the PA, also known as Chaos. She'll be running the chat, so if there's anything weird going on, it's all her. So I'm going to dive in here. Yes, and I'm sorry that it's a corporate presentation, but it helps me by keeping me directed. So, all right. I want to talk about the history of shaving, which is kind of odd because you think shaving is just kind of something you do, but there's a long history about shaving. So a long time ago, 30,000 BC, we actually found earliest razors were flint blades, like obsidian. People would actually chip them and you could shave with them. But they didn't only shave off the hair of their bodies, they actually carved into their skin to make designs, which is terrifying to me, although some people enjoy it. In Greece, Alexander the Great, one of the great leaders, he was obsessed of being clean shaven. He would literally go into battle, make sure that everybody was clean. They were very, very hygienically focused on being no 5 o'clock shadow, right? Make sure the battle was done before that. Here's a little something for the Grecian ladies from Greece. For getting rid of hair, the ladies would use razors like sharp tools, flint, bronze, iron razors. They would use pumice stones to like sandpaper to rub the hair off the stubble. Ow.
Ow.
They would also create depilatory creams. Did I say that?
Yeah.
So imagine using resin, pitch, beeswax to create a paste that you would actually put on your skin and then rip off with cloth. Yeah, some people do that now at the waxing salon of Woodstock or something like that. They also use mixtures of ash, vinegar, and arsenic to dissolve the hair. Well, yes, it did dissolve the hair, but a lot of stuff actually happened on the other side of that. Or torches. My favorite part is torches. Would you like to burn the hair off your body? So we do that now with lasers. Lasers. In Rome, men would go to the barbershop, a tonsor. You may have seen a barbershop called a tonsillarium or something like that, where they would use an iron novacilla, a Roman razor, unless you had a skilled servant to shave you. I mean, literally, they would use olive oil and scrape the hair off your face. No bueno. All right. The Greek historian Herodotus commented the Egyptians. This is about Egypt. They set cleanliness above seemliness. They were totally, this was completely preoccupied with hygiene. I guess it had to do with all the sand. But they would pluck eyebrows off, any hair whatsoever. They would scrub with pumice stone again. They also did something called sugaring, which is a paste made of sugar, lemon juice, and water applied to the skin and then ripped off. Again, lots of ripping. We don't like ripping. Less painful, but more natural. So they were very focused on the environment. In the Middle Ages, with the advent of elaborate headdresses for women, most ladies would shave off their hair and eyebrows and then put on the big wigs. A lot of lice, that was part of that. Men were expected to be nice and clean, especially after all those plagues. Although, we had our own plague the past few years, but still, we're working on it. In the Middle Ages, barber surgeons, this is when the barbers would come into effect, where they did surgery, bloodletting, dentistry, and wound care. So you were kind of a combination let me get your hair cut and I'll pull this tooth for you. They actually organized around 1096 in France. They actually had a union of barbers and surgeons. But then in England, barber surgeons were united. They came together in 1450, but there was actually a religious order that said, no, You can no longer be a barber surgeon. They split in 1745. You were banned from doing surgery, which thank goodness, because that is just a bunch of trouble way back. So some of the things that they would do, surgery, bloodletting, dentistry, wound care. Imagine pouring boiling oil into gunshot wounds. Yummy. Bloodletting cured, they thought that bloodletting cured everything. I believe George Washington actually died from all the blood being drained out of him. Oh, you have a headache, blood loss. Just keep, your humors are out of sort. Oh, bloodletting. Shampooing with stale urine. Okay. It didn't have to be your own. They also use beer foam for shaving, which, hey, there's an idea. And one of my favorite, this is my favorite, teeth whitening, aqua fortis, also known as nitric acid. Yes, it got your teeth clean by removing them. Everybody's seen the barber pole, the little spinning barber pole? There are so many theories about what the barber pole is all about. Red and white, they thought that it was like, the pole came from people grasping it while they were getting bled. They had brass ends, like is the blood bowl where they put the blood into. Leeches, always gotta love leeches. But the red and white, typically they thought that it was like the surgeon would come into town, or the barber surgeon would come into town and say, hey, I've got this, here's a place you can come to get treated. The blue stripe, the best theory I found was it's just America, red, white, and blue. America. So moving along, 1770, the French barber, and I'm going to murder this name, Jean-Jacques Perret, writes The Art of Learning to Shave Oneself. La Pagotonomie. Yeah, that's beard stuff, which gives advice using different shaving stuff. He actually created a razor, like you had like a knife, like a straight razor, but he put a wooden guard around it to actually make it safer. So, okay, it's as safe as it gets. Moving into the early 1800s, the British barbershop became a center for social, discussion. It was a wonderful place for people to get the politics of the day, to the religions of the day, to talk about books coming out, or to talk about bawdy jokes and things. This is when the folding blade or the cutthroat, the Sweeney Todd, everybody always, whenever I say I do shaving, they're like, oh, Sweeney Todd. Yes, Sweeney Todd. Mid-1800s, straight steel razors from Sheffield, England. If you can find a vintage safety straight razor from Sheffield, you know that blade is a solid, good blade. Love it. 1880, the Kampf brothers filed a patent for the first safety razor. This thing is weird. Okay, you can kind of get a glimpse of it here, but it literally looks like that. It's hooked over, and the blade sits at an angle about 30 degrees, and it looks like a carpet cutting blade. And I've actually used it. It is not pleasant. They call it a lather catcher because as you're shaving, the lather gets curled up into the bottom of it underneath, and that's why they call it the lather catcher. It's weird. I mean, they thought it would help you by holding it at the right angle. No, it's terrifying. 1904, King C. Gillette. Recognize the name? He invented the first disposable razor. And if you look at it, it looks literally like almost every safety razor we have today. The Rockwell 2C. Very good. It's safer and inexpensive. And what it did was allowed men to not have to worry about taking care of. We'll talk a little more about the straight razor, like taking care of it in a little bit. But you had a blade that cost you a penny or less in those times. And you could just, after 5 or 6 shaves, done with it. Awesome. This is when we start talking a little bit about the trivia. In 1921, researchers in New York City, they said, we've got to do something about the health of our patrons. They tested the street vendors who were doing shaving and found that the Bacillus anthracis, the bacteria that caused anthrax, was in 78% of the brushes. Yeah, that's not good to have a nick on your face and have anthrax shoved into it. Oops. So this is one of my favorite things. I get to talk about Five Guys, and it's not the hamburger place. Okay, sorry, that's later. We'll get there. But I'm going to talk about 5 different gentlemen who had something horrible happen to them with shaving and barbering. Michael F. Farley, he was an immigrant from Ireland in 1881. He was 18 years old, came to America. He ran a successful liquor business. Awesome, thank you very much. And he was elected to Congress in 1915. How about that? He went to a barbershop. The Badger brush had anthrax. Got a nick, infected, bacterium, a few days later, dead. How about that? Okay, Alexander Scriabin. Scriabin, okay. It's a Russian thing. He was a pianist and a composer, rather eccentric. He died at 43 after nicking himself while shaving, and he had sepsis or blood poisoning. Don't you love shaving? John Henry Taylor. He was a horticulturist. He went on a cruise, and he was shaving, and the waves must have been a little much. He got nicked, and his throat began to swell and fill with fluid. The doctor said, "Oh, it's a case of blood poisoning. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It'll take care of itself." Nope. 2 days later, dead. He died from severe edema. Awesome.
Basically choked himself.
Jean Thoreau, maybe you recognize the name. He was the brother of Henry David Thoreau, Walden's Pond. In the winter of 1841, he cut himself with his razor, came down with lockjaw, and died in Henry David Thoreau's arms. Thoreau, the writer, he didn't talk to his family or write in his journal for weeks. I mean, talk about, shaving, just amazing. And I believe this is the last but not least. This is Lord Carnarvon from 1923, the Earl of Carnarvon, George Herbert. He was, if you remember, the King Tut thing. He was doing this whole King Tut thing, and he was bit on a cheek by a mosquito. And he sliced the bite open while shaving. The small cut became infected. Sepsis. Died of pneumonia, April 5th, 1923. So hopefully, your shaving goes a little better than that. All right. So we're going to move a little more into World War I. The U.S. government issued Gillette safety razors to the entire armed forces. So imagine there's your market share. You've got the entire armed services of the United States of America shaving with a Gillette razor. By the end of the war, 3.5 million razors and 32 million razor blades were distributed. So imagine guys coming home from war. What are you going to go? Oh, well, I know how to use this. I'm going to get this. So Gillette, the best American. Okay. Anyway. Okay. We don't hold this. We don't really, I'm just going to mention this briefly. 1928, Colonel Jacob Schick. Sound familiar? Patented the first electric razor. Yeah. We don't talk about this much. As you can see on the slide, the picture on the left is a hair cut with a safety razor. On the right is an electric razor. Typically, the electric razors will tear your hair apart. So, just saying, you don't want to get sepsis or something. All right. Here's another little bit of trivia. One of the strangest crimes was a streak of sneaky haircuts that took place in 1942 Mississippi. Pascagoula, the criminal, was named the Phantom Barber. He had a creepy habit of cutting locks off the hair of young girls while they slept. Surprise. A gentleman by the name of William Dolan was charged and arrested for the attempted murder, but he always maintained and said, "Hey, I'm innocent," and he got out because he passed a lie detector test. But it's hard to say the real Phantom Barber was ever caught. He could be out here this very day. Maybe he has his own shop. Maybe it's a shaving shop. Maybe he's doing Prattles right now. I don't know. And here we slide into the amazing multi-plate expansion wars of the 70s and 80s. This makes me crazy. I did learn on an Atra 2. It's a Gillette. It's a two-bladed thing. My dad, and this is, I'm going to go off script. My dad basically threw a Atra 2 at me that he had been shaving with for about a year. The little lubricating strip, gone. And he said, "Okay, shave, you put this stuff on, you shave." My face was torn up. So for years, that's what I thought shaving was. I then got the Mach 3. It was a little better. Mach 3 is a 3-blade razor. Then they came out with the 4-blade Quattro razor. Then they came out with the 5-bladed Fusion, which is 4 blades on the front, 1 blade in the back so you can do your sideburns. And then there's a South Korean company called Dorco. And they have, and I think they've even added to it, It's a 6-bladed razor. It's a big old cartridge that's 6 blades, but I think they have a 7-blade now. It's ridiculous. I mean, and the cartridge razors actually tear your face up. I mean, they pull the hair out of the follicle, touch below the surface. It can actually, it works. And I'm not going to say anything more about that. Okay, so one of the benefits of, we call it noble shaving or wet shaving or classic shaving or dapper shaving. One of my favorite things is that it can be whatever you make it. And Henry Ford said, you know, when he was selling cars, he said, you can have any color you want as long as it's black. With shaving, you can literally have a different razor. You can have a different blade. You can have a different shave soap. You can have a different aftershave. You can have a different brush. It's all right. Try to be cool. Yeah, different brush. So you can make it your own. So you can make this your Zen moment for you. Some of the benefits, it potentially saves you money. And I say potentially because if you kind of get hooked on it, you can kind of slide into different things where you try to acquire every soap known to man or every razor. We have one of our research and development, Randy, has a tremendous safety razor collection, and he will be happy to talk to you about it at any time. You get better results. For me, I have found it just feels better. My skin feels better. It's a moment of time for me. Less irritation. It's better for your skin. You're not putting alcohols and all this, you know, propellants and things on your face. Most of the soaps, like, you know, here's one that is basically all natural, and it's a wonderful, very moisturizing soap. Better quality products. We in Dr. Mike's go and we actually find artisans who make the best stuff, or we try to find the best stuff we can. It's higher quality, and it allows us to give you a better opportunity to shave. And I know shaving is, it's a daily chore, but it's something enjoyable. It's also greener if you're focused on the environment. You're not throwing away plastic cartridges or disposable razors all the time. You have a razor and you have a blade, and the blade is stainless steel. You can recycle it or, you know, keep it. And if you happen to have a very old house, if you look in your medicine cabinet, there might be a slot in the back of it. Mm-hmm. Don't ever open the back of the cabinet and open the wall, because you'll find a stack of rusted safety blades back there. Just saying. I'll have to find some pictures of that, because that's a hoot.
And make sure you get it.
Yeah. Yes. The noble tools. We're going to talk now. I mentioned before talking about straight razors. We're going to talk about straight razors, safety razors, brushes, soaps and creams, mugs and scuttles. Great band name, right? And then strop, not strap. Okay. So many people go, "Oh, I got strapped from my dad." That means something else.
Especially yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's a strop. We're going to use a strop. So here's an example of these are actually from the 1700s. These in the upper left-hand corner here, very, very old blades. I actually I got a call from I have a shave mentor named Will Newman, who actually made me this brush a long time ago. He called me. He was in Asheville, and he found a George Washington presidential straight razor. Mm-hmm. It was a vintage. They used to put out, like, for the different presidents. They would actually etch, and he knew I was like a big etching kind of guy. If it had gold leaf on it, oh yeah. There was a time when I was like buying everything. I actually have this is a gotta remember this is a Solingen razor. It's beautiful. I found it at a gun show for $35. Gold leaf, gold inlay, mother of pearl. I was like, how much is that? Oh, $35. Okay. So, yeah, pretty much. So they're essentially, it's a knife. It's a scalpel, sharp knife. So you have to be careful. 2 rules about straight razors: if you drop it, don't catch it, and never go side to side. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will tell you that the very first time I did a presentation, I was shaving with a straight razor. I got right about here, and someone knocked on the door of the bathroom, and I turned my head, huh? Oh. And I dug the toe, which is the end tip of the straight razor, under my cheek. Now you know why I have a beard. And I got there's a picture of me shaving Bill Harrison, Captain Bill. And if you look really carefully, you can see like a little like solidified look. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, wow, I think they call it iron. Okay. Safety razors. Remember the Gillette, the C Gillette? They've actually come along, different companies have come along and made different versions. You have the 3-piece. Why do they call and if you come to the shop, a lot of times you'll hear me go, why do they call it a 3-piece? Well, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The one in the lower left is a butterfly. A lot of folks had those. You twist the bottom and the doors open and you drop the blade in. I trashed my dad's or my grandfather's safety razor because I was using it as a steam shovel when I was younger. Picking stuff up. Yeah. Sorry, Dad. And on the right is what this was a. They used to make these. They're called a Marqueur Future. It is. I call it Mr. Bitey because it is one of the most aggressive razors I have ever. I mean, you put it. It has a dial on it, 1 to 9. 1 should be very, very light. 9 should be DNA removal. I found I could only get up to about a 2.5, and I was like, I'm going to die. So we don't use that anymore. It's a lovely piece. Brushes can be made of horsehair. We talked about how the brushes had anthrax, right?
Mhm.
Horses, anthrax. That's why you'll see if you see a lot of vintage brushes, they'll say horsehair sterilized, right? A boar hair. Boar hair is very stiff. I call it very scritchy. It has a lot of backbone. It can smell. And they're fabulous. They take a long time to break in. They're very, very exfoliating. Fabulous. We have 2 we have in the shop. One is this big. We call it Little Oink. We have one that's this big. We call it Big Oink. Badger hair. Badger hair is actual animal hair. It is a tremendous product. And actually, which we hand this out. This is actual badger hair. This is the brush Will Newman made for me. And you can feel it's soft. Badger hair is very good at retaining moisture, heat. It has a strong backbone, but it's not like really stiff. You can really get a nice flow. We're going to talk about badger hair in just a second, but they have come a long way with synthetics. This is synthetic badger brush. No synthetic badgers harmed in the making of the brush. Except for, yeah, I did that little joke at the shop one time. The guy goes, synthetic badgers killed my family. And I was so taken aback. I was like, what? And I just said, well, okay, you win. You win. So awesome. Okay, so the synthetic, about 3 or 4 years ago, I think that like the makeup companies and brush companies got together and said, hey, how can we make these better? Because before they were like nylon paintbrushes. They were awful. But now that is a 26 millimeter. We are actually getting those in the shop very, very soon. They're from Noble Otter, go figure, out of Houston, Texas. Okay, so here's the thing with badger hair brushes. There is no like FDA, SEC like group saying this is the quality of a badger hair brush. They have, and I kid you not, pure badger, best badger, fine badger, finest badger, black badger, silver tip badger, super silver tip badger, genuine silver tip badger, high mountain white badger,
And Becca.
and it just keeps going. I mean, and each one is different. So if you go on like Amazon and say I want a badger brush, really make sure you know the quality of the brush, because there's nothing worse than getting a badger hair brush and the first time you put it on your face, it goes poof, and you have hair all over your face. I have fallen. That's how I kind of got started with this. I fell into that trap. And I'm like, oh, Amazon, $35 for a complete set. I'll do everything. No. Okay. Oh, 752. We're doing good. Sorry, just checking my watch. Do we have people watching?
Yes.
Oh my God. I wasn't expecting you to show up.
No, we have a whole room right now.
Oh gosh. Okay. Shave soaps and creams, right? Okay, so this is a little excessive, but high-end shaving soaps, much like we have, this is one right here. They have water in them, obviously, right? Stearic acid is a saturated fatty acid. It makes bubbles. It also helps to soften the beard, which, if you're going to shave, not my beard, you don't want to shave my beard. That would be bad. Myristic acid is another saturated fatty acid, makes bubbles. If you happen to know potassium hydroxide and sodium hydroxide, I'm not lying. It's an organic base. Yes, it's lime. Coconut acid, coconut oil, triglyceride. It's not only good for you know in your coffee. It's actually a wonderful thing to put on your skin. Glycerin is a polyol or sugar alcohol. It actually draws water to it. There's a way they used to call it making Uber lather. You would use your normal lather. You would make your lather in the bowl, and you could take a little squirt of like glycerin, and it would like it would really add to it. It's a really good thing. They also have botanicals and essential oils to give it fragrance. To really, some people believe that peppermint is very stimulating. I do. I love it. So that's one of those things like that.
Bacon is an essential.
Yes, it is. It's essential for all kinds of things. It makes happiness. Mugs or scuttles. Okay, mug. We'll talk about the mugs in a second. Preparation of shaving lather. Right. This is what I call. This is a shave bowl. It keeps the lather hot or hydrated, so you don't lose the water. They could be ceramic, metal, plastic. A lot of folks have seen the Old Spice mugs. They're actually collectible. If you can find some of the really old ones, they are pricey. On the lower right-hand corner is an actual scuttle. Why do they call it a scuttle? I don't know. But what you do is you fill up the bottom of it with hot water, so it keeps the bowl hot while your lather's in there. So you have hot lather over. It's delightful. But I broke mine. Yeah, I had a beautiful. It was like this big from Germany, and it got knocked off the shelf. Went boom! They exploded really well. Early on, when people, you really didn't have the opportunity to have all the tools to shave yourself. You would go to the barbershop, and in many barbershops, they had a shelf lined up where you would bring your mug. And what happened was they would actually put your occupation, like if you were a lawyer, they would have like little scribbles or something like that on your mug. You can actually personalize, right? So the status of your barbershop was how many barber mugs do you have? Like if you had 100 mugs, it's kind of like, what is it? Wild Wings, you could do like, no, it was $3 cafe. You could do the whole beer thing around the whole thing and get credit for it. It was kind of like that. So you could be, if you had a banker, it would have like dollars in cash on it.
They call it a scuttle because of the compartment for hot water between the wall 1 and wall 2, which is a maritime term for the open space. It's kind of like scuttling a ship.
Yes.
To put a hole in the ship and sink it.
Yes.
So that is why they call it a scuttle.
So I scuttled my scuttle.
You did.
Sorry. All right. The strop. Not the strop. If you've seen, they have it. They typically leather. It could be cow, horse. I actually have a kangaroo strop at home. Kangaroo leather is amazing. It's very, very thin and very, very strong. You can do it linen, and what that does is it helps to sort of polish your blade. Okay. They have hanging straps, which are like they hang here and you hold them on. Paddle straps are like paddle, and bench straps, which sit on the table. So stropping versus honing. Honing is literally taking the razor, the blade, the straight razor to the stones to change to take metal off of it. Stropping helps to kind of smooth everything. So the way I used to do it was I would have a piece of aluminum foil and it would be like this. And as you shave, it gets bent. Stropping kind of brings it back. And as it wears down, that's when you would hone it and sharpen it again. And honing is an art form that I have never learned and I have tried. I mean, and people talk about, I have a pocket knife and I sharpen it on a 3,000 grit stone. Great. Straight razors go up to like 60,000 grit. And there's one gentleman on YouTube named Dr. Matt. Doctors are crazy. But he uses the polishing compounds for satellites, the mirrors on satellites. One of these days. Okay. This is the process of shaving. We're now going to talk about actually shaving. I am not going to shave at this. I'm not going to shave right now, but I will shave at the end if I have time. Okay, so beard prep. We're going to talk about the 3 techniques. There's the physical, the thermal, and the chemical. So the physical is the actual agitation, right? You are physically helping your beard to soften. You're putting the soap and everything. The chemical aspect, the chemical soap. So the soap actually gets to your beard with the water and helps to soften your beard to prepare it for shaving. Also, it gives a little bit of lubrication between the rape. That's what she said. That's one. She's got her one. So you're shaving, you want to make sure you have a nice barrier between the blade, and your skin. And the thermal heat is an amazing catalyst. Heat does wonderful things, except in the South. But heat really does a wonderful job of making soaps bloom and blossom and lather. This is going to be a cold shave, so we're going to hope that we can get a good lather out of it. Cold shaves can be wonderful in the summer if you need to shave and it's cold, but don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. For lather, you want to soak your brush, and I'm going to use, this is the new Noble Otter 26 millimeter. We're going to put it in the water just like this. We're going to let it soak up a little water right there. Just like that. And this is how you kind of prepare. So if like typically I would run a sink full of hot water, and I would throw my brush in the thing while I get, wash your face. Typically I will shave right after a shower. You're welcome for the image. And that makes sure that your face is clean and your beard is wet and ready for shaving. Okay. If you're using a straight razor, you want to strop. Make sure you strop before you use a straight razor. Okay. You can use a new blade. Most of the time, you can get 5 to 7 shaves out of a safety razor blade. My rule is, if it doesn't feel good, change the blade. If it's 2 times, done. What I found is the first one is usually pretty good. The second one is even better. And then after that, it kind of diminishes. So I teach, or I talk about a 3-pass shave with the grain. So we talk about from the top down, right? From here down. So typically hair grows down, right? So think of all my beard growing down. So with the grain is this way. Across the grain is side to side. And then against the grain is going from the bottom up. And afterwards, and we talk about this all the time on the Dr. Mike Shave videos on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, not on Facebook and YouTube. Always, always, always aftercare for your skin. And they call it aftershave for a reason. And it is a great way to make sure your skin stays healthy and you kind of heal yourself and heal your skin. It's fabulous. So with that, I'm going to put this up. And this is my business card. This is our QR code for the Facebook group. And there's a wonderful picture of me with a straight razor, Miss Cassinia. And then at the bottom is Charles Barrow, who is our Surgeon General for Dr. Mike's. He owns and operates Maxim Barbershop of Decatur, where they actually use and sell some of the Dr. Mike's products. If you want a hot lather shave, you can contact Charles and set up an appointment. And it is an hour-long process. He uses 5 towels, 4 hot. It's either 4 towels or 5 towels. It's a bunch of hot towels and then a really cold towel at the end. And it is
a massage with a vintage.
He has a vintage. They call. I want to say Vibrolux, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's an Oscar thing, and it's one of the big metal things that fits on your hands. And it's an amazing thing. It really is amazing. So with that, I have time to shave. I do have time. So I'm going to move my laptop away from the shaving area because that could hurt Stacy's to do. Don't put your laptop in the sink. All right. So you are more than welcome if you want to come. Oh, you killed it. It's okay. You're more than welcome. We have a conference room table here. You're more than welcome to come up here and you can watch me do this, or you can stay where you are. I'm not at all. I won't be cutting you. I'm not. So my brush is now saturated with water, right? And typically, let me get the blade. I'll put the blade out. Here's a 3-piece razor. This is the Rockwell 2C. It's a 3-piece razor. Let me show you the version. This is the top plate, bottom plate. Interesting thing about the Rockwells is that they have an adjustable base plate. If you flip it over, you get a different shape. So we have number 1 here and number 3 here. So the 1 is, they call it the mildest shade. You can't cut yourself, but what we like to say is people. So what you do, and typically the blades will come in a little cardboard pack, and they typically will be, I'll show you this like that. See, it's where paper, just like my hands are huge. So I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to open up this blade because we are very careful, right? You never hold it by the long sides. You hold it by the short side because if you hold it by the long side, it's self-correcting. So we put this on the top plate, just like so. Get on there, There we go. And we take the bottom plate, right? We drop that there, just like that. Notice I have not cut my hands off yet. And we take the handle and the spout. Sorry, that was into mine. And we put it down there, make sure it's tight, and then we hold it by the short side, right? And we make sure it's snug. We're not cranking it down, right? So now this razor is ready to go. So now I need to prepare my face, my beard. And I have a wet towel here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little water on my face. Oh, that feels great. Okay. And if you watch on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can see me do this all the time. So I do you can do two ways of lathering. One is called face lathering and one is called bowl lathering. We talked about like using the bowl. So I will show you both because I'm that kind of guy. Face lathering, well, we'll do bowl lathering first. I'm going to take a snurtle of soap. See that soap? I'm going to put it at the bottom of the bowl. And these are technologically artisan crafted shave bowls that Dr. Mike carries from our IT department, Matt. Is Matt watching?
Yep.
Hey, Matt. Matt actually helped design these bowls and printed these bowls. They have amazing ridges on the bottom of the bowl that helps the lather to form, and they are redonkulous. Okay. Oh, this soap smells good. Okay. So here we have the brush. I'm going to put a little water. I've squeezed it out. You don't want it like drippy, 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 but we're going to take this brush and go in the bowl. And you can see just in a moment, it started to form the big bubbles. We keep going. And what we've noticed is if the shave soap looks like Elmer's glue, add a little water. If it looks like water, add more soap. So that's about 15 seconds. All right. So typically what you would do, and I'm going to have to shave right here. So sorry, guys. All right. Oh, wait, where's my mirror? Sorry, we have a mirror. So applying soap with a brush, you can go in circles. You can go back and forth. I'm going to shave just this part of my face because we don't want to go crazy, right? So you can take your time. Stall for time. I'm going to glue.
Really good question.
Oh, okay. It's probably in the car. Oh, it's in the car. Okay. I did it. I left the mirror in the car. Okay. So here we go.
Use your phone in here.
It's right. It's currently in use, but no problem. Don't worry. I'll figure this out. Okay. So there's that. All right. Watch me. Okay. Well, I'm going to do this. Hi. Okay. So the best angle for shaving is 30 degrees, and this allows you to do that. The blade is held. So we're going to go up here like this and gently. I'm not using any pressure. The weight of this razor does the job. Trying not to cut off my mustache because that would be bad. Oh, thank you, dear. Oh, hi. Good to see you. And as it fills up with soap, you just give it a little shake. Just like that. So I'm going from the top down. And that's with the grain, right? Okay, so face lathering. Basically, you'll take, instead of using a bowl, use the thing it came in, you blow the brush that way, and you've got soap. Always, always shave on lathered skin. Do not try to like, oh, I'll just kind of get this right here. No, that's how you get cut. Always shave on lathered skin. Never shave on unlathered skin. So we're going to do another pass, just like this. This stuff smells so good. Oh my gosh. So we're going to go across. I'm going to go from here and up. And notice I can actually get a nice line with a safety razor for my beard. And there's actually a neat trick you can do to get your beard. If you have a beard, I'll show you. There's a neat trick you can do. So that was neat. across the grain paths, right? You can reach over and pull your skin up and then draw a line from your ear to your mouth. And then when you let go, it makes a nice curve. So I'm going to try to get really close here without shaving too much off.
Then you can hear how it sings.
Oh, yes. Hopefully y'all can hear that.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, hold on. I'll give you a better impression. Hold on. I know. I was at TeslaCon doing this panel and I was shaving like this. Oh, doing great. And I went, huh? And I bump cut myself and began to bleed like on a white stretch. It was awful. All right.
We have to claim that the leech is gone.
Okay. Everybody listen really carefully. Like sandpaper, right? So typically what you'll find is as you shave, that sound will get lighter and lighter and lighter. So after a 3-pass shave, you get a towel. So say I've shaved, right? Typically you would rinse your face off. Right. I'm just going to use this moist towel. Oh, this stuff smells so good. Sorry, I just got this and I haven't used it yet. It's wonderful. Kay picked it up for me. All right. So, aftershave. I didn't bring aftershave.
It's my fault.
But I will show you what you can do. We learned this trick just a few weeks ago. And you just let it sit for a spell. Because a lot of the products that are in the shave lather are actually great for your skin. So I'm just going to let this sit for a spell. And while we let it sit, I'm going to say, are there any questions that we can make up a story or lie you out right about? Yes, sir.
Actually, I'd like to see the particular razor you have there. I didn't know it had 2 settings.
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to show it to you.
And also we do have the butterfly from
Oh, yeah.
Parker.
Yes.
So you twist right down here and it opens the hatch.
That's the one that I destroyed
Sure.
See, this is the Parker 29L. So it kind of basically, so that's
Okay.
butterfly.
Yeah.
This is the Rock. We have a gentleman asking about what razor I'm using. So this is the Rockwell 2C.
That's what I have.
Okay, so I'll take it apart for you.
Wow.
So look at the bottom.
Yeah.
You said it has R1,
Mm-hmm.
and if you flip it over, it's R3.
Mhm.
R1 is the mild. R3 is right in the middle of aggression.
Okay.
So just make sure whatever's out is what you're using.
Okay, because I have no idea what it said.
Oh,
It could be either one because I may have flipped it over and never noticed.
ah. There you go. Okay, so
Sometimes it's not exactly the same one.
yeah.
Well, I mean, because you take it apart and it's just sitting there. And so you just put it back together and then
Yeah.
I had no idea it didn't have two sides.
Oh, he's got a little oink.
Yep.
That is a little oink is the Omega bore brush.
Mhm.
And as you use it, it does bloom out and break in quite a bit. And you can get rid of the funk from that piggy smell by using blue Dawn on it, like we do on ducks and kittens.
Dawn is great for almost everything.
Yeah.
So with that, do we have any more questions? Yes.
Be a good razor to begin with.
That you make things easy for me when you ask me these questions. We actually have acquired the Hensons. The Henson from it's the AL13. They're from Canada. They are amazing razors. They are CNC machined aircraft aluminum. And this is that we actually carry the Mach 2, the second version. I have a purple one because, well, it's purple, but we do have copper and jet black, steel blue, and silver aircraft aluminum. But for Mach 2, the handle's a little bigger and there's a little more knurling. And the cool thing about that is that they designed it down to 0.0001 of an inch tolerance. And the blade is fully supporting the entire width of the razor, and the angle, the head of it, if you see like this, actually it curves the blade. So you kind of have to find the angle. With the Henson, the head is literally a 30-degree angle. It will not shave any other way. It is wonderful. We sell a ton of them for people who are shaving their heads, faces. We have several ladies who use them for underarms, legs, and everywhere else. Basically, we say if a blade touches skin, we can help.
One thing I'd like to discuss is not just the razor and maybe the carrier, but the blades themselves.
Yes,
The disposable, what the differences are from the manufacturers.
yes. One of the cool things, again, we're talking about the difference in blade. This is my favorite. These are Astra blades. They are from Russia. And for me, I have found that these are,
They were from Russia.
they were from Russia. Now they're not. But if you act fast, I actually have 15 cartridges, 15 packages of 100 of these bad boys before they changed over to the India version. But I found them to be thick enough to be solid, but thin enough to be sharp and smooth. We also have a couple, I think I have them, I don't have them for sale, but they are feather blades from Japan. They are thin and we used to call them the Cadillac of razor blades because they are so thin and so sharp. They are ridiculous in that. Then we have things like Derby, which are the F-150 Ford truck. They are solid. I mean, they're just, and I don't like them because for me they're too thick. They're too stiff. I like the Astra Greens. I love them.
For Hanson, every time we do sell a Hanson, we have arcade blades that go with the Hanson razor.
Yes.
And they're specifically made for the Hanson.
They follow the same tolerances. So, I mean, you can use any safety razor blade, the typical double side in any of the safety razors, but the arcade blades were actually designed to the same specifications as the Hanson razor. So when you put it on there, it goes, yeah.
And it's like a good midpoint between Astras and the feather blades,
Yeah.
the Japanese feather blades.
And literally, your mileage may vary. This is all a matter of opinion. No matter what, if I say Astras are my favorite, someone's going to say, "Oh, I hate Astras." Feather blades, oh, they're awful. Oh, they're fabulous. They're the best thing ever. It works. Whatever works for you is the best way to shave.
Blades are kind of like antidepressants. You got to try a lot before you figure out what works.
Blades are like antidepressants. Okay, we'll make sure to put that on a tagline. So, other than that, any other questions before we call it a night? Anybody want to look at you want to try you want to feel the soap or?
It smells good, so now I'm curious.
I'm curious why 35 degrees for shaving.
Oh, 30.
So you 35 and
Yeah.
See, my gosh, 35.
Yeah.
it's retroactive how it runs.
Actually, I actually have. I think there's some actual engineering type pictures I have showing the differences of angle and such. Is crazy. I mean, they're like a convention like ConPossible. Shaving has their own little conventions. We call them get-togethers. I've met many a wonderful, a lot of the artisans that I've met. I met the very first time in 2013. I went up to D&V's barbershop in Richmond, Kentucky, and I met Ernie, the Shaving Yeti. He's recently passed. I met Maria Armin and JD Armin from Through the Fire Fine Craft. I met Brandon Ellenson, just amazing people from all over the Southeast came to this barbershop to just talk about shaving, and people brought stuff. There was a long time ago, there was a place called the Straight Razor Place. It was a forum back when, on the internet, you had forum boards and you would talk. Mm-hmm. There were about 45,000 people from all over the world. And you could literally find people wherever you were and say, "Hey, I'm going to be in Atlanta and let's get together and, we can talk, And the way I kind of got into this kind of style of shaving was they were putting on an Atlanta Straight Razor Place forum get together. There was a gentleman by the name of Lynn Abrams who basically wrote the book on how to use straight razors. And he actually has a DVD, which I have. And it shows you how to hone. It shows you what to do. And there are so many rabbit holes you can go into. It is just amazing. I actually got to be part of the organizing part of the Straight Razor Place meetup. I was the guy who got vendors to give samples. So I got to call all of these different vendors for all. I was talking to a lady in New York from eShave, and she was French, and she actually had her own shave company and she was a perfumer, and she has in verbena lime e-shave is delicious. And she sent down all this stuff. We found who is it? Monica from Van Ulay. She has shave soaps that have emu oil enriched into them, which is amazing. And just lathers beautifully. I think we have 1 or 2 jars left of her products. But just amazing stuff.
So to answer your question about the 30-degree angle, 30-degree angle is a general ballpark rule, but again, everybody's different, so you don't wanna you have to gauge your own comfort level, but as a general rule, it will not tear the hair. At 30 degrees, it will cut the hair. So for most cases, there's also tension and pressure that's calculated into it.
That reminds me, one of the things that makes me crazy is when you're watching TV or some kind of movie or TV show and they show somebody shaving somebody. I have seen people using straight razors backwards, pulling the soap up with the back of the razor. It's not cutting anything. It's just moving soap along. I have seen people, oh my God, the thing that makes me crazy. They have oh, it's a barbershop. Like the guy at the barber's like this. So if you look at my the Dr. Mike Shaving Emporium Instagram, every once in a while I will put up oh, here's from Star Trek Voyager, Tuvok is shaving with this weird straight razor. Look at that, something like that. Or who was it that was shaving? Oh, it's
Don Draper.
Yes, Don Draper. He actually they gave him a badger brush for Christmas, and I posted up oh my God, they gave a badger brush. Yeah, I'm a nerd. Yeah, but it's really fun, and then you can go so many rabbit holes you can get dived into, and I'm always happy to talk about this stuff. So, but with that, I will say thank you very much for attending, and y'all have been wonderful. Oh, thank you. There's hundreds of people here, and they're all excited. So I will say, and actually at the end of every shave video, I try to say this. Right. And it's shaving is something you can do to take care of yourself. So one of the things really I always like to talk about is make sure to reach out to your friends and talk to them, say hi, check in with them. And if you're going to shave, we know you are. And if you're going to beard, and we know you want to, shave dapper, beard dapper, be your dapper best. Good night, everybody.
Yay!